Ever have one of those months where everything feels like a setback and you're just looking for the silver lining in anything? March was a lot like that for me. So in this month's TPT Store update, we're going to talk about the ups and downs of March, some store stats, and talk about the importance and awesomeness of having an automatic income stream. So what were the setbacks? Thankfully, the setbacks were not directly related to TPT. They were all actual school-related issues. Not that it was anything particularly bad about school itself, but there were tons of projects and events going on that just sucked up way too much of my time outside of school hours. The more I've grown as an educator, the more I've valued trying to protect my time after 3:30, but it just feels like no matter how hard you work to protect that time, there's always a season that comes up every once in a while where things pile up and it just can't be avoided. March was that season for me this year. The beginning of April has been too, to be honest, but at least at this point I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and I've got spring break to look forward to right around the corner. The problem for my TPT store, obviously, is that all that extra time that I spent on my full-time job meant that I had very little, if any, time to spend on my side hustle. I published a whopping 0 products this month, and that is particularly embarrassing considering I just shared on this channel last month that my goal was to continue producing them at least once a week. And yet here I am on YouTube sharing that I set a goal for myself that I did not even come close to meeting. Now, as frustrating as that is, I think it's important to note that when we set goals for ourselves, they are goals. They are not definitives. And when we fall short, it's important that we look back and examine the reasons that we didn't make it, maybe our shortcomings or whatever the case may be, but looking at how we can do better so that we can meet that goal in the future. For me, it's really a question of how much I'm prioritizing my side hustle over the other things going on in my life, and this month it just had to take a back seat. My full-time paying job and my family and the hobbies that I keep up to keep me relatively sane jumped ahead of the line. But enough about why March was awful for me in respect to my product creation goals. Let's look at the store itself and some stats. First, let's look at some stats from the previous month. In February, we made $41.70, which is the most at the time I had ever made on the store and was double what I made in January. That felt like a huge deal, and it really was. It was also during the month of February that I worked on my tool to decide whether or not it was the right time to jump into TPT Premium, and I used that tool to figure out that during February I would have lost money if I hadn't gone ahead and signed up. So I signed up mid-month, and looking back at profits from February is a little weird because I know that some of these profits came from before I signed up for premium and some came after. So I earned different percentages on different ones depending on what time of the month it was. It was a little weird. And March was the first month that I had TPT Premium all month long. And my sales jumped considerably. They didn't double like they did the month before, but they jumped considerably despite the fact that I wasn't producing any new products. We can switch this over here and see that from 4170 into March, we jump to 6339. Now there are a lot of variables that are affecting this, and I can't attribute the jump to any one of those things. But I was certainly happy to see the increase, and I'll take it, especially since my store was pretty dormant as far as my interaction. I'm not going to dig into the stats as much as I normally would in one of these videos because, to be honest, I'm still in that season of high stress, very little time, and even though I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, as I mentioned before, I'm still in that season. So I only have a few minutes this weekend to scrape together a YouTube video for the channel. What I do want to point out though is how awesome it is to have an automated source of income. Even if it's only a few dollars a month, it's still money that I'm earning based on work that I did months ago rather than work that I have to put in the moment. Sometimes you'll hear about passive income and it sounds like it's not any work, but the truth is you're just front-ending that work and you're setting it up in a way that it'll continue to pay out after you've put in the work. So if you need to take time off for a family emergency, or if you're putting together multiple career fairs in a very short period of time, like I've been doing over the last month or so, or if you just need to take a break to focus on other things for a little bit. Having an automated income source like Teachers Pay Teachers that will continue to run in your absence. It won't run forever. You do still need to be a part of the process. But when you need to take a break, you can, and that's super important. This monthly update is short and sweet, but I do have lots on the way. So stay tuned, and in the meantime, I want to leave you with these words of wisdom. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. The quote's attributed to Winston Churchill, and to be honest, it can be hard sometimes to embrace failure and learn from it and not give up. But to be honest, it's what we ask our students to do all the time. So if you're in a position where you've had a setback with your store, maybe you didn't meet your own goals, maybe your sales were awful compared to what you expected or were hoping for, don't let that setback be the thing that takes you away from the ultimate goal of being successful. And if you feel like you've achieved success, just remember that it's not permanent. Even though we might throw around terms like automated income sources, that doesn't mean that you can completely stay away and expect them to continue earning money at the same rate as when you stepped away in the first place. Whether you're successful right now or having setbacks right now, we have to keep putting in the work. Are you in a season of setbacks like I am? Are you experiencing some discouragement? Do you need some encouragement? Drop me a line in the comments and we'll chat. Here's hoping you have the courage to continue fighting past whatever setbacks are getting in your way right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you're interested in career exploration materials, you are welcome to click on my TPT Store, which will be down in the description below. And if you're looking for elementary resources or art resources, my wife's store will be linked in the description below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.